Hey, it's Mazzy here, and we're going to talk for about 45 minutes to an hour about the Rhino High Fidelity series. And I have Patrick Milligan, who is the project supervisor producer for this series for Rhino Records, and Kevin Gray, of course, from Coherent, who one of the great mastering engineers of our time. That KG is in the dead wax of most of the things he's done. So
GPG, and I'll send you the $20 after we're finished.
right, right. Well, I bought all these things over the years, but I do want to start out because occasionally I get comments either here or when I write things on the Hoffman forums. And this is the copy, and I got sent this from Rhino. So I'm a shill today for Rhino, which with copy number 0000, which is a promo.
Yeah,
But
and I'll give
back
you
in
that 20
19
bucks after the call too.
no, I don't take any money, just music. It's the music, stupid. That's my motto there. Like it's the economy, stupid, back in 92. But what's also, I will admit, in 1977, when I managed a record store, the WEA guy in San Francisco, the store, shilled me this promo copy. It's a white label.
Wow.
So I've been a shill almost 50 years now. Okay. First record store job was 1973. And Kevin and I are like a year apart, same age. So we kind of grew
You're
up
pretty
with
close
a lot
too,
of the.
Patrick, as I recall.
Yeah, my first record store job was 77.
Okay. Okay.
What year were you
in
born?
LA?
In Denver,
Oh, okay. Denver.
Colorado. Yeah.
We
What
probably
year were you
know.
born, Patrick?
I was born in 60. Actually, yesterday was
Oh,
my 64th birthday, so
okay. Oh,
I became a Beatles song.
Did everyone send you that Beatles song? Of course.
Yeah, I've told a friend at work I was going to be a Beatles song, and she said, "Oh, 17?"
You know what I mean? And then
yeah.
the other one we're talking about today. I'm recording this on the 12th of
January.
January, and these are released. And I want to talk about that too, and the release on these. But this isn't the one. This is from my mono box. So I assume this is a digital version. I don't know. There's no one in the dead wax. I don't know if it is. It's
I'm
a
not sure. I could probably find that out.
okay, well,
I wasn't involved in that. That happened before I came back
yeah,
to
I have
Rhino.
this box, and this doesn't have the stereo like the new one. So what I liked about these were like these flip back covers, which is kind of cool, actually. So I haven't heard the new version yet. I would say, for people who don't know this record, listen to it. It's avant-garde, out there jazz somewhat, but I see compared to what Kevin did, the records he did for
One
Tone
poet.
Puppet,
Oh,
the
yeah.
out there ones, this is like listening to an association record.
Yeah, it's a much more straight ahead record.
It's
love
very
that record.
accessible.
I love
Not
that record.
yeah,
Yeah,
not
it's a good
not kind
entry
of
point
blue.
for the free
It's
jazz.
my favorite Ornette Coleman album.
Yeah.
Right.
And
So
it's just
anyway,
such a great sounding record too. It's like what you did, Kevin, is amazing. And I've heard
Thank
other
you.
people say this too, but the way that it was recorded and when you read Bones Howe's comments and how he set it up, it's you really it sounds like you're in the room. And
Yeah.
what you
Was that at
did,
Radio Recorders,
it's
I'm
like
assuming? I can't
what's
remember. Was that at Radio Recorders that he recorded that?
I think so, yeah. It
Yeah.
was in LA for
Bones is one of my favorite people I've ever worked with. He's just a gem of a human being.
was
well,
Nuui
because
Erdogan is Nuui Erdogan more of an executive producer rather than a producer? Obviously, Ahmet's brother.
Yeah.
yeah, I think that I mean, Bones was the engineer, and it's funny
Right.
because we think of him with Association and Turtles and stuff like that, but it's
Fifth Dimension.
yeah, exactly. And it's a little outside of what we think of, but it's different than the Tom Dowd approach and the stuff that was going on
Yeah.
in New York. So I have a feeling that Nestle was more overseeing things than really
And I
driving.
think he tended to do more jazz stuff, right? Than
He oversaw the jazz part of the
yeah.
label. Yeah, for
Well, what
sure.
Bones Howe did, I really love his series he did for Asylum of Tom Waits, the
Oh
live,
yeah.
small change, those live thing. It's almost like that jazz club feel. Those
Yep,
are,
yep, yep.
oh
Oh
my God.
yeah.
Actually, the notes that are in the Ornette Coleman that was an interview with Bones was a guy Dan Daly wrote for Sound on Sound, and it was an article about Tom Waits actually, and this Ornette piece was a sidebar,
Hmm.
and he let us use it. So, again, just trying on these things to really tell the story of the making of the album, why it sounds the way it does, and as much as we can get somebody that was involved in the recording to sort of tell that. So we had tried to reach out to Bones, but it didn't pan out. But
He's
we were
not
lucky
doing
to
well,
find
I
this
understand.
bed, so it really describes it very well. So
Yeah.
That let's start here then. This is the third series of these you've released. I think the third month.
Fourth.
Fourth?
Yeah.
fourth, yeah.
I missed one completely. But now you're going to switch to every other month for the time being, I think.
We're gonna be every other month, although we do have titles in March and April because we put some in April specifically for Jazz Appreciation.
And we can read those. You're doing Cars, Candy-O out in March, and the Grateful Dead, American Beauty. Obviously, that and Working Man's are probably the two best sounding Dead albums, especially studio.
Totally agree.
Oh, they invented Americana, maybe the Byrds or whatever, but amazing, beautiful records.
Yeah, I agree. And Stephen Barncard, just
one of my favorite engineers of all time.
Yeah, I worked with him on a reissue a couple years ago of the David Crosby, If I Could Only Remember My Name.
Yeah.
The 50th. And we spoke a lot, and I just asked him, I said, wow, that Crosby's guitar sound is just incredible. How did you do that? And he said, well, I use these mics, I put them here, and I'm writing this stuff down. Nice. He also told me, he said, I'll tell you a lot of what makes it sound so good is how amazing David Crosby was at tuning guitars.
Wow.
He could just really get everything, the overtones and everything exactly right to just make it really sing. So
those were at Wally Hyder, I believe, in San Francisco. Yep. Yeah. Hyde Street Studios now, definitely.
Yeah.
I grew up there, so I remember we used to go to try to hang out at these, because the Airplane would record there, and Paul Kantner, and I mean it was a real community
together. They would all end up on each other's
Santana
records because they were all there at the same time.
And then Santana, there was used to be Columbia had their studio.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
And then it was bought by David Rubinson, became the Automat, and he bought it and did some great stuff there. But
yeah, the Tenderloin is what they call that area, right?
It still is. I go back a lot. I've been in Seattle now 10 years, born there, all my life there. But yeah, that's the area. In fact, 2 blocks down or 1 block down the corner, there's still an empty parking lot. It was the Black Hawk, that famous jazz club. Miles Davis, and that was before my time. Torn down, nothing ever put back there. Sad, because some great live records.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I see these. We don't get with other labels that are coming out from the Black Hawk. But anyway, let's go back to these now. When you're deciding to do these, I mean, is it like a ongoing powwow? You're writing down ideas and notes and things. Do you sit in a room, brainstorming it? For instance, on this one, you decided this is a stereo version, doesn't have the stereo, and then you did the stereo. Any reason you would do a stereo over a mono, and how do you make that decision?
Well, I think for this, again, because what we were saying before about the sound of this record and just that sense of being in the room and the way that Bones set up the microphones and stuff, I think the stereo really favors that, and you sort of lose that a bit in the mono. So
it's not a really wide separation either, so you're not getting things way over there. You hear some percussion things, but it doesn't seem to be really wide like some people complain about early stereo, right?
Yeah, I think so. And some of that might be attributable to Bones too, because Tom Dowd had a different approach, so it's different for this record. But yeah, in terms of how we pick things, I try to comb through stuff and initially was trying to find things that were a little more out of the way, not overdone. But like I said, we were looking at Apogee, Pete Chrysalib and Warren Marsh, and people got a little iffy about that. So, but I have a really wonderful test pressing that was cut by Kevin, so I'm holding on to that.
That sounds exciting. But
but yeah, so I try to come up with things, after the Cars did so well, we sort of looked at, well, maybe we need to be focusing on kind of bigger titles. Try to do things, although I know we don't always hit this, that haven't been done to death. I know a lot of people were sort of questioning why we did the Doobies when there's.
I love that record. I mean,
part of the reason for that was the Doobie Brothers came to us and wanted to do something to celebrate the 50th anniversary of the album.
Nice.
And I think it's a great sounding record. We had an opportunity to have them sign some books that we bundled with the album for the site, which sold through. So that was nice.
Nice.
But yeah, so there's a variety of things. We like I said, we have titles coming up in April that are the Coltrane and the Miles Davis that we're doing specifically for Jazz Appreciation Month. So we're kind of looking at tying some things into things like that. We have some 50th anniversary things we're going to be doing this year at some point. So, but yeah, we do, we have a rhino.com team. We meet every Wednesday afternoon. It's my favorite meeting. We have a blast. We meet in the A&R lounge, which is behind where we all sit, and just, have a good time and talk about things, a variety of things.
Is Jason on that team?
Jason Jones is in there.
I've had a couple conversations about Little Feat and replacements with Jason.
Yeah. Yep.
I love those things. And I know from my point of view, I'm not going to read this list up, but before we went on, I said, this is a list of a bunch of WEA records, which I call it WEA. It's a generational thing. It used to be Warner Electric Atlantic. Now it's Warner Music, I believe, or whatever.
Music group.
We could no longer use brothers.
Oh, right. Right. And I'm sure Kevin and probably both of you will be excited. The thing that Warner Brothers was always, to me, the hippest, coolest label when I was growing up. And partially was because of, was it Stan Cronin and these records?
Yep. The Lost Leaders. I love those. I started at Rhino in '93 and I left in 2004. And the last couple of years before I left, I was overseeing Handmade, which was our D2C label then. And
I was
so many like hell to do some of those. And as you know, because you've got them,
I got all of them. So
they're not entirely doable because there's a fair amount of stuff on those records we don't control anymore, like Frank Zappa and stuff like that. But I've wanted to do something to replicate that for, even like a promo thing.
You snuck some great songs onto those,
They're so cool. And
sometimes they're alternate mixes or things.
Right.
Yeah.
If you're a freak, you would care about that. I got turned on to Tim Buckley. I got turned on to Good or Bad, Wildman Fisher. Little Feat.
Wildman Fisher, the beginning of Rhino.
Yeah.
Right.
Mark Leviton did some of those, did he not?
Yeah.
Yeah. Mark
and
Leviton.
who else did a bunch of them is Dr. Demento.
Oh, that's right. Oh. That's right. I forgot about that.
Yeah.
It was wacky comps. That's how I remember Rhino at a Westwood. Was that the store in Westwood? Maybe, I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
But what's great about these, for those of you who are watching who don't know what these are, there would be an insert in every Warner Brothers album in the day. I don't know if I have one here.
And they had such a cool attitude about them.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I don't have it on this one.
It's so anti-corporate.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, anti-corporate, self-deprecating.
Self-deprecating.
The things he wrote about these bands. I think Stan wrote most of in fact, if you haven't read Stan Cronin's book about that time, it's an amazing book to read. He did a lot of those promos. I don't know if he was a producer there or a writer, a copywriter, marketing.
Yeah, I think he was marketing kind of copywriter.
But you would fill us out, put your $2 single in, $2 a disc, and you'd get these in the mail in I don't know how long. But again, the Schlagers ones, they're amazing.
Burbank.
And
that was kind of a rip off of the Chicago album with the logo and
exactly. Oh, there's that one. The Burbank. That was the Burbank.
Yeah.
Oh God, those were so great. Burbank was kind of at that point the brunt of the joke because of Rowan and Martin's Laughing, and that's where Warner Brothers was. We can't say brothers anymore. Sorry. Okay, let's go back.
Sadly.
Of course, now that you've mentioned that they're going to be $500 a piece on eBay, you know that.
Buy them. But they're still relatively cheap. I did when I first started doing the YouTube thing. One of my early videos.
Now
I showed every single one. They're cheap. They're going to be cheap. But some of the recording, I remember hearing on one of them. I think it was actually there was a box set Warner Brothers, like 4 LPs that we sold retail of like a best that came out 73 or 4. And it had one of the best sounding things I ever heard at the time was Listen to the Music by the Doobie Brothers. And the sound of that on that green label Warner's was so friggin' amazing.
That's a great sounding record.
Mm-hmm.
The guitars on that are just beautiful.
And the phase shifting, whatever.
The phasing is so cool.
Yeah. So, okay. So I know I could just sit and talk
I
about
feel like I'm
whatever.
smoking a joint just sitting here talking about this stuff.
I don't take drugs. I
Just
I have a
kidding. Yeah.
martini every Friday night. I'm a cocktail.
So you're
But,
looking forward to tonight then, huh?
well, I'm going to see the show at the.
Oh, right.
But we'll make a way. But now, to me, the brilliance of this, again, I'm shilling here, but it's called Rhino High Fidelity. So it's not necessarily everything is quote audiophile. In fact, the title's like, this is not an audiophile recording. And if you listen, I mean, you would know better than I. What do you think, Kevin? Do you think it is?
I was, I got to be very honest. I had never heard that record before I mastered it.
Really?
And
That's
I walked away
interesting.
really impressed with it. I love it, both musically and the recording.
Yeah, I think it's was talking about this recently too, that it's not like, somehow we ended up comparing this to Steely Dan, just saying it's not Steely
Yeah.
Dan.
No,
Those records sound so great, but they're very sort of precious and very meticulous. And I love Steely Dan, and I think those are some of the best sounding records ever made. But the thing about this record is it's just so much more organic. And again, almost like with the Ornette, it's kind of like you're in the room with them. And the record is largely recorded live. I think it's not like a lot of overdubs. There might be some guitar.
I wouldn't be surprised.
But I mean, they'd been playing this material for a while, so it's and Andy Johns too, so that's
Now that record has a cult following. I of course, Googled it,
It was funny when I did a video and I came up right after Westman's announcement last week, and I've been following the Hoffman forums, and I'm surprised how many quote us boomers don't know this and haven't heard of it, and some
just missed it somehow.
Boomers were complaining that why are they doing that? And I'm thinking, wait a second, I'm a
listen to it, guys. Listen to it.
No, but not even that. I'm a boomer. This album came out when I was 23. It's not like it came out when I was 40. So that I missed it. I mean, but I was in San Francisco. I worked in record stores. We went to all these New York bands came through the old Waldorf or the Mabuhay or whatever the clubs were we had at the time, Wolfgang's. But it is an edgy album. And now the one thing that people have asked that I've seen people comment about, and I want to know if this is baked in the tapes. This is a bright record, sometimes a little edgy on the highs. You seem to taper off somewhat, and I liked it actually better than my white label promo by a good amount. I wouldn't say it's day and night.
I backed it off slightly.
That's what I noticed that. I think it's obviously any of these are always system dependent. When people talk about these or UHQ or whatever, we got different ears, rooms, rigs, all that stuff. So, I mean, did you have to do a lot with this?
No. I backed off the upper mid range just a tad, and I added a very small amount of bass. I really like the way it sounds.
And the guitars.
Best I've ever heard. When I got the test pressing, I was just jumping up and down. It's really amazing. And and audiophile, I guess, is kind of subjective, but I think it's a great sounding recording. It's just really straightforward, very, like I said, very organic, and
I love everything about it.
Yeah.
Well, if you have to listen eventually to Adventure, their second album, it doesn't get as much love. I think it's a better record sounding record. At least because I played all these like over the last week. I got into this mode of television, and not to throw out that I guess it was a record store day almost a decade ago, the old Waldorf show. I remember buying that double record because I was at that show at 70.
You were cool.
78.
Yeah.
That's why I buy a lot of these things because did you guys do the box set for Gang of Four? Was that you? No. Maybe okay. There's a box set that has a live San Francisco recording in it, and I bought it because that was the time I was going to see these bands.
What year was that released again? Marquee Moon?
77.
77.
So you were 24.
I guess.
What were you doing?
I guess it got lost in the Steely Dan Fleetwood Mac year.
Well,
yeah,
think
it certainly
about that.
wasn't like it was a critic's favorite, but it wasn't something that really climbed up the charts or got a lot of airplay. I mean, I actually heard Marquee Moon on the radio once, but it's a 10-minute track, so not a lot of
probably after the heyday, right? Probably.
Yeah. It became, this is one of those albums.
AOR.
I hate to compare it to Velvet Underground's first, but that more bands were influenced than listeners. And I understand it did better in the UK, which is not surprising, but I don't think it did a lot. So you're sitting around the room on your meetings every week, and you're tossing things around. You're having your lattes from the cappuccino machine, and do you have like a whiteboard you're writing ideas down, or you just kind of?
No, some people have their laptops. I usually have a little notebook, and I make spreadsheets and things. So yeah, we just,
But you have to balance the art and commerce. Obviously,
absolutely.
you want to sell 5,000 things. And the thing is, you can't please everybody. And it's like when I see people that buy every UHQR or better MoFi one step, or even things lesser, or they want the shelf lined up with all the impulse. You don't have spines that match on these like those things, I don't think.
Well, we do with the spine wrap, yeah.
With the
right, with the OB on there, yeah.
Right. But some people do like to collect them all, but it's not really necessary. Of course, now I'm unselling. You don't have to go buy every.
You want them all. Get them all.
Okay, you want them all. I don't have them all. Sorry.
What are you missing?
I'm actually with you, Patrick. I've enjoyed every single one of those titles.
It gives people a new a chance to listen to them, because it's hard to. I mean, Rhino has been one of the better labels to issue the whole Warner catalog, and I was trying to jot some notes down in my mind. What are the labels that you could pull from? And obviously, it's Warner Brothers, Sire, Elektra Asylum, Atlantic Atco, maybe Cotillion. No, I don't know.
Yes.
You left Reprise out on the Warner.
Right. Sorry,
but
Frank.
Cotillion, yeah. Capricorn, no.
Capricorn, Stax.
No. Stax up to 68, but Capricorn, no.
Okay, so no Allman Brothers or
nope.
Oh, interesting. Are they part of something else now?
I think it's all part of Universal now.
Okay. So
when in doubt, it's Universal.
And then within that, you have to funnel it down. There are bands that are no longer. Like I pulled some, as we get at the end in a little while, the end here, I pulled a bunch of records. I'm going to just do like flashcards. That would be my dream. And some of them are pretty common and some are esoteric. And aside, I'm going to take off the table right now because I didn't pull Led Zeppelin, Black Sabbath, AC/DC. I didn't.
AC/DC we don't control anymore.
Oh, okay. See, I did not know.
That's with Sony now. And Led Zeppelin we'd do in a heartbeat if Jimmy Page would let us do it. So we were talking about this on Steve Westman's show, and he was like, "Oh my God, I'd love to see Jimmy Page up at Coherent with Kevin."
So with Kevin.
Now, would that be I said this just theoretically, would that be a good thing, having the artist on over your shoulder like that? It's different having like a
certain
we've
ones.
Not
yes.
done that. We've not done that so far. So far, Kevin's just done everything. I did have something that Kevin did recently that we haven't announced yet, so I need to be mum's the word about it. But the producer of the album wrote notes for us, and when I reached out, he said, "Oh, I'd love to go to the mastering session." I was like, "Well,
it was already
already done."
Okay, I'm going to lobby for one since I'm on here.
Please.
And that would be the Fleetwood Mac album.
I have that on my list.
Okay.
And we're coming up on the 50th. I would love to do it. I don't think there's really ever been an audiophile version of it. And I can tell you the reason is there's damage on the tape.
Oh.
So it's gonna take some creativity to get that over. But I would love to do that if we can. I'll tell you, we did
he could do
it. 50th anniversary of Deja Vu, CSNY Deja Vu, and the analog, the flat master for that is damaged too at the top of the tape. And Chris Bellman cut that for us. And what we ended up doing, got permission from the band. We sent every source that we had. It was just the beginning of Carry On. And we sent every source we had to Chris and let him find the best thing to match it. He put it on tape and cut it into the tape and then cut from that. So I'm hoping
to do that a couple of times.
Creative and do something like that with the Fleetwood Mac, but I think the tape might be more damaged.
I just love that record. I actually
it's so
prefer it to Rumors. Rumors just is a little too commercial for me. I love the Fleetwood Mac album.
I love that record too. I mean, that I bought that record when it came out and then immediately went and bought the Buckingham Nicks album and
Uh-huh.
had a lot of people say, "Oh, you guys should do that." And I say
That's
like
not Warner,
Led
right?
Zeppelin. It's not Warner, it's actually Buckingham and Nicks own it.
Uh-huh.
And we've looked into it at different times. And as I've said, if we ever have an opportunity, we will absolutely be doing that one.
That's a
So,
classic.
oh, it's a great record.
Before we got on here, I was talking to Kevin before you got on here. And this was a Rhino box, and it turned out, Kevin tells me, it's the first Rhino project he did, possibly.
First
And
one I did with Andrew Sandoval.
Andrew
Oh,
Sandoval.
wow, yeah.
And he told me, he confirmed that this was all analog, but forget the rest of the box. I mean, these are the first three records, and what they did is mono and stereo. But I listened to this the other night, and I just was in this mood because I love this record. This is 1957. This is psychedelic pop, Baroque pop, a master. I couldn't believe how good this record sounds. I have my original, which is, crackly as much as good as it can be. But this, now, I don't know the audience anymore, but if people think all the Bee Gees were the disco thing, the Saturday Night
That's the
Fever,
problem. That's the problem.
that's the problem. This, if you like Baroque pop, if you like Sgt. Pepper, this sounds better than the Sgt. Pepper album from beginning to end. And it's amazing. There's beautiful orchestration, beautiful. The drums pop on this. Oh my God. The drums sound so. Bee Gees first, 1967, which is actually their third album because they did stuff in Australia.
Right.
They emigrated. But this is out of print. Even if it doesn't become a high fidelity, I don't know if these plates are still around or whatever, but put these out on a Rhino thing.
We no longer control the Bee Gees.
Oh.
I just spoke for 5 minutes and you didn't cut me off.
You should have stopped him sooner, Patrick.
Never mind. We'll phone you. Okay. I'm going to go buy these real fast.
Well, I was just going to say, that just went way up on eBay.
Now,
Yeah,
you already talked about this and apparently there's tape damage, but.
No, not this one. I had on my list and we were going to be doing this sooner than later. It turns out there isn't an analog master that has the whole record continuous.
The American or the British, because they didn't put
exactly, because they're different.
Oh, well, wasn't on the first pressing.
Yes, and it wasn't on the British one. So yeah, so again, we'd have to get creative, but yeah, I would love to do that.
Now you did the box.
mastered.
You did that box with this. Was that digital then? Probably
Must have been
like 3-4 years or 5 years ago.
Yeah.
The original was mastered by my mentor, Bob McLeod, at Artisan Sound Recorders. I was actually hanging out there when that was cut.
Wow.
Okay. Now,
somebody else suggested that.
My favorite guitar. That was me in the peanut gallery. But,
okay.
MoFi did 4 Rycooter, but this one they did like 20 years ago. So this goes for like $200 as a MoFi. This sounds amazing. I know it's not one of Rye's favorite, but it sounds so good. I know MoFi did Boomers, Chicken, and the other one, the yellow, and the 3 in the middle there, which are great for MoFi type things. But this sounds so good. So I would love this. I have no idea the audience for it, but Rycooter's got a cult following.
I love just about everything Rycooter.
I know you did a box. This is one of my all-time favorite albums, and maybe it's probably not commercially viable, but Randy Newman, even though he had bigger records, to me, Sail Away is a perfect record.
Not to be ruled out, actually. Yeah,
that's a good suggestion.
Very much look at that. I don't know if I can't keep track. We do so much stuff. I can't keep track of what's been announced, but we've been doing this Quadio line too, the Blu-ray, original 70s quad mixes. And there were quad releases of Sail Away and Good Old Boys.
Wow, and I had no idea. Now this is a cult one.
We don't control that anymore.
There you go. Okay, people have asked.
Good one, though.
I'm on the Shield gravy train again. This is a promo. I got how much?
Yeah, you got a lot of promos.
I've been Shield for years.
Oh, yeah, I worked on some of their stuff back in the 80s.
Edgy Minneapolis band, loud. Get some of these rock people, interested.
Yeah, I want to get into stuff more from this era for sure.
Because we don't want to just do James Taylor and
No. Of course not. Yeah. No.
Was that record there that you hold in your hand? Was that produced by Spot? You went by Spot.
produced
SPM.
by Bob Mould and
Oh.
Grant Hart.
I might have done that one too because I worked with Bob Mould.
Oh, and Grant Hart.
Does it say where it was mastered?
Well, let's look.
I might have done that. I did a few of them.
Originally mastered by Howie Weinberg.
Okay, New York.
Master Disc, New York. I love that album, psychedelic-y.
I love those guys.
Now, this is a personal favorite of mine, but I know it's been reissued. But the sound of this record, I mean, this 50 years this year, 50-year anniversary. Okay, he's keeping a straight face. Blink 3 times. Now, I don't know if you have this anymore, and this is a Friday Music or Music on Vinyl issue. I love the sound of this record. They Might Be Giants, a Flood.
Great
Elektra Records. Now, the other Elektra records are expensive and not even in print, but this one especially, Little Birdhouse in My Soul, They Might Be Giants. Anyway.
Yeah, I'm not really sure about the rights on that, because we deal with copyright reversion and stuff like that. I would have to look to see if we're still, but I like that idea. That's a good one. Real good.
This one, to me, side one is the, if you ever heard a freak folk artist, spacey artist, do something funky, it's this. Now, side one, Greetings from LA, Tim Buckley, Straight, Warner. Oh my God, the drums on this. Listen to side one. No,
we don't control.
I think that was mastered at Artisan too.
Okay, now
I know we've lost a disappointing amount of things. Either
every label has. I mean, it's like when you get divorced and who takes the stereo. We know who.
Yeah, with copyright reversion and stuff now too. It's
Now, normally I would pick her first record, but I think this is more commercially viable, even though the first one has, quote, the thing that started it all. But Peter Gabriel's on this, and this is Laurie Anderson. What a great! This is more of a pop record than the first one because it has what has not only Peter Gabriel, it's got this is a mastered by Bob Ludwig and Howie Weinberg. So great record. Great sounding record, I think.
Yeah, that's a good choice.
I don't know if you have this anymore, but I think this is great. And Spike?
We do, and we've talked about that. But is that a digital recording?
Could be. I mean, let's see. Produced by Elvis, Kevin Killen, and T-Bone Burnett. Engineered by Kevin Killen. Mixed at Ocean Way. Additional mixing at Air.
Could have been analog.
Mastered by Bubba. Yeah, it's like potpourri here, but I don't.
Yeah, no, I've wanted to do something with those records. I'm very fond of the Attractions records that he made on Warner Brothers.
Yeah,
Brutal Youth and All This Useless Beauty.
Now, you probably don't have this, but you've done things with the Smiths.
Top of our list. It's UK rep number one.
Trade,
and it's dealing with the artists that we have to really.
You don't want to deal with Morrissey. You don't want to deal.
We've got.
He made my wankers list.
We did a box set a few years ago of all the albums. I don't know if you have that.
The last two. This to me is an out of the box choice, maybe because most of the people listening to this first time around are dead. But Sinatra at the Sands. It's Count Basie, Quincy Jones. I mean, if you don't mind having some irreverent stage banter that's not politically correct these days, this is a fantastic sounding record. This is a mono. I have a mono.
Let's reprise. What year was that? 64?
5 or 6.
Oh,
I don't remember now. But Stan Cornin did the liner notes. Whoa.
There you go.
This is a fantastic live recording, and just listen to this. Go into your room and listen to this, Mr. Warner Brother Rhino.
I would love to do some Sinatra stuff. We do have kind of a standing deal with, I think, Concord. They've sort of been doing a lot of Sinatra stuff and melding.
You have to deal with the estate on all of that stuff.
Yeah.
Okay. And my last choice that nobody watching this has either heard this record or wants this record, and he only made 2 records for Warner Brothers, in 72 and 3, I believe. And this was 72, so 71, 72. He was a producer that produced music from Big Pink. He produced Cheap Thrills by Big Brother and Holding Company and many others. What's his name? Leonard Cohen, and that's John Simon. Journey. He's got the, if you don't like the voices of Tom Verlaine, for instance, you're not going to like his voice. It's a thin voice. This guy arranged those records, did the orchestration or the horn arrangements for The Last Waltz, for the band, piano playing, jazzy pop, friggin' great songs. The Journey, Living in the Land of Sunshine, Slim Pickens in the Kitchen Don't Make It at All. Find this record. The only way I could buy a CD was order it from him 20 years ago. I don't think it's ever came out officially. This, I would buy 25 of these to give away if Rhino put these out. So there you go.
I love that. Yeah, that, you're asking how we choose these things. I had initially been really looking for hidden gems and things that hadn't been done to death. And I would love to be able to get to a point where we can kind of, because like you mentioned, television, a lot of people are saying, oh, I don't even know that record. It's like, well, it's a good chance to expose people to it then. It's something that I feel like everybody should hear. And I think it may not be everybody's taste, but I think that there's something there that most everybody would like. And it's just
Jazzy's line fits really well there. It's the music, stupid.
Yeah.
I do a series of that because it comes down to the music. I want great sounding records, and
yeah,
I'm even the same way. It's the music number one.
When all is said and done, people go crazy when someone has 5 copies of something. I have 5 copies of certain albums, and maybe more.
Marquee Moon is one for me. Yeah,
I'm a Beatles.
Well, I've worked on probably 3 or 4.
Oh, I'm sure. I have a lot of that. I don't do it as much anymore as I age here, but there are certain things. If it's a record I love, I want to hear a different version of it. But sometimes, if you're not A-Bing them, and most people don't A-B when they're listening to music, you don't know the incremental difference, theoretically. Someone asked me, if I have an original this, I mean, it's not for me to tell them if you love this record, you're going to hear something different out of the Kevin and the new one you did. And I like the new one better. But if I didn't have that, it's like, what you don't know, what
you don't, but I think it still comes down to, it sounds fantastic.
It does.
So I think it's a great listening experience, whether you've heard the album a billion times or you've never heard it. So I think and again, just in how we select these things, part of the thing, we had been going sort of a rock record and a jazz record for all the releases, pairing them that way, which we're kind of moving away from what you see from the announcements that we made. But for this one, I just really thought that this Ornette Coleman record was a really good match with the television record. They just both have this sort of avant-garde, just free-form improvisation kind of thing in a way, that I thought made them a good match. So,
and they both have kind of a
cult following. I know I've seen a lot of comments in different places that people say, oh wow, I don't know this Ornette Coleman album. It's worth checking out, and it's a good, if not trying to oversell it that you should go buy both of them, but it's a good pairing, I think. Yeah. So.
And that Tom Verlaine was very influenced by jazz too. I mean, he doesn't sound like a jazz player, and he doesn't sound like psychedelic. There's parts of psychedelic. I was listening to Marquee Moon again. Oh, this is what I wanted to bring up, because I was asked the one question I was asked the most: does the new version have the long version of Marquee Moon that doesn't fade out? And the answer is yes. It does have the 10-minute. In fact, I timed it. It was 10 minutes, 44 seconds. I actually timed it because, unfortunately, the label has the old time. So you have the old 48 on the label.
That's pretty common.
Yeah. Right. So Kevin didn't fade it out. It ends and the song ends. So I think someone said that was on the Chris Bellman digital cut they did a dozen years ago, whenever they did it, type of thing. So it does have the long, full version of Marquee Moon on there, and it's I love this record. I love it. I do
too.
But I haven't heard again the jazz one yet, but I will definitely.
I was playing this record when my kids were young. I think my son was like 5 or 6, and he came in the room and he's like, "What's this?" And he really liked it. He responded to it, and he's really into music now. So
it does have that dueling guitar thing. Again, I mentioned before. It reminded me, didn't sound like it, but like Paul Butterfield Blues Band East West, where you have Bloomfield and Elvin Jones and, you know, trading off leads occasionally in that little Middle Eastern, what do you call, raga-y thing that's more on the other one. And I just think it's, if you're a guitar freak, you got to check out this record.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, the guitar work is amazing, and Tom Verlaine is totally unique, and Richard Lloyd is, they're a good contrast. I think Richard Lloyd went on to do a lot of it. I mean, they both did. Tom Verlaine made a bunch of solo albums that are also quite good. But Richard Lloyd, some of my favorite guitar playing that he did is on the Matthew Sweet Girlfriend album. Yeah.
And the one I really like
on that is so great.
I do have a shill promo of Richard Lloyd's Alchemy record. The guitar on that, the sound he gets out of that Strat, I think, is so good.
Yeah.
It's real dry sound and nice.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That's, I guess Tom Verlaine was like, you know, obsessive about amps and collected tubes and all kinds of effects and things, but there's really, the guitars are pretty straightforward on this. There's not a lot of effects, or, but that's what I say. It's just such an organic record. It just feels like they're performing this right in front of you. It just kind of has that approach and that sound. So again, sort of similar to the Ornette Coleman, I think. So
okay, when we're closing out now, so any last minute obviously Kevin's always excited. He's working. I can't believe he has a day off today, because how does he do all this?
I stay busy.
well, we're going to keep you busy for this, at least for a while.
Yeah. So no, okay, my last
good news.
My last question is, you know how, and Kevin knows this, Tone Poet every year theoretically does a special one, like a box of Ornette, or they're doing something else, I think, this year. Would you ever consider doing like if it's a box of an artist that has 2 or 3 records that fit together, a slipcase thing of a special one-off every year, maybe?
Absolutely.
You seem like you're very liquid. You're open to anything.
Yeah, I mean, we're really excited about this, that it took off and has been received as well as it has. I mean, we sold out that Cars album in like a matter of days. I think
was crazy.
That really took us all by surprise. And some people were questioning, why do you want to do that record? And it's like, it went out. And I got to tell you, the television is doing quite well too.
That's
so
good.
I'm excited by that. I had a feeling it would, you know, resonate.
Now, was it intentional that it was going to go live 2 days before the release date? Was that?
Nope.
Because
we basically,
it didn't sell out Wednesday, because it would have upset some people on Friday, probably.
Yeah, absolutely. We did something that we don't normally do, which is we did a press release before the release, which we usually do the day of release that you can order. And I think we sort of just thought that was maybe a little confusing, so we just made it live and went early. So
okay, well, I'm glad it's doing well anyway.
Yeah, me too.
Well,
but
Kevin,
yeah, I mean, we've really been trying to make the Rhino.com store more robust and grow it. And, you know, we've done, like I said, we're doing all these Quadio titles. We did a series last year to celebrate the 45th anniversary of Rhino, because we just thought that was sort of Rhino-like to celebrate a weird anniversary.
And people should watch the Westman thing that you were on earlier this week, because you talk more there about the issues with the shipping and packaging, and hopefully improving that as well. So
we are in the process. I've just been seeing mock-ups of making our own mailers that would have a Rhino, potentially like a Rhino hi-fi logo on it and everything.
People last night, they got their shipping things already, which is great, because usually we order from you, Discover, Universal, or these things, and 3 weeks later after release date, you get it's in your store and you can't get it. Hasn't been shipped to you.
Yeah, we've had issues sometimes with that too. It's frustrating, because people that pre-order things don't get them, and but it's gotten a lot better. So we take it very seriously. I mean, I know people are frustrated by the shipping thing, and I just have to tell you, we are too.
Okay.
And we take it very seriously. We put a lot of work into these things to make them really nice. I think they are. I mean, I think they sound great, largely thanks to Kevin. They look fantastic. Our production team, the art directors and everybody have just really got behind this and got excited about it, and we love it. And so, like I say, we were thrilled that it took off. We didn't know. It was just like, well, let's get in the audiophile lane, and we were sort of was suggested that we look at doing half speed mastering, which I've never been a huge fan of. But once I found out current half speed mastering, the only places they're doing it, it's done digitally, and I was like, what's the point?
Yeah, I don't.
So I just said, let's
Abbey
do that.
Road, come on, Abbey Road, wake up.
Yeah, let's just
All right.
have Kevin cut everything and press them at optimal, and
I was just going to give them a shout out. I'm glad you did, because they're doing great work.
I think so too. They, everybody has their opinion, but of all the stuff I do, the things we do at Optimal are the cleanest, best sounding records that we do.
They're my favorite European plant.
Yeah. Yeah, we've tried to do all the Joni Mitchell stuff there, and I'm really, really pleased with what they've done. So
Great. Well, thank you both. Thank you, Kevin. Thank you, Patrick,
Thank
for
you.
hanging out for an hour. I'm going to end this. Hold on there for a second, but thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time. As he loves you, and take care.